can you give me an example of a time that you did that? And like, she literally started crying and then started asking me, should I take that off my resume? And I was just like, like what? Where am I?
Hello! You are listening to CPA Career Path Podcast with Rosie Flaherty, CPA and SA. This is episode number 56. We continue the conversation with Matt Markov to cover the strategies for finding and interviewing great staff, the value of networking, breaking CPA stereotypes, and essential tips for young accounting professionals. When you mention about staff, that when you motivate staff to work and get the job done, so staff will have a strong motivation to finish as soon as they can in the best quality. Now my question for you is, how can you identify good staff to work with you? Because if you find not very good staff, they may not get the job done. How can you deal with that situation because you don't keep track of time?
Gotcha. Well, when we're looking at hiring new people and whatnot, a lot of firms just kind of look at experience. That's not something that we ignore, right? Because some experience is more valuable than other experience, of course. But, really the biggest thing that causes the most benefit overall to the firm are really just two things. One, are we dealing with an intelligent person who is smart, or are we dealing with someone who's just book smart? Right? Someone can graduate summa cum laude from Harvard and be a crap CPA. It happens. I know a lot of crap CPAs. It's really unfortunate. Before you're a CPA, you hold these people to put every CPA on a pedestal. Oh my God, they must know everything and all this other stuff. And then once you've seen as many CPAs works as I have and had to amend as many returns as I have, all of a sudden you start realizing, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot it's part of life. Everything is on a bell curve. You have good ones, you have all right ones, and then you have the rest. But anyway, oh good Lord. Sorry, I lost my train of thought in the middle there. What was the question?
The question is, how can you find or identify good staffs?
Yes. And I went to the first part there, identifying good staff, the actual intelligence, and yes. So the other part of identifying a good prospective staff has to do with their attitude. It has to do with a positive attitude, to be specific. If they exude a positivity, a good energy, if you will, this isn't something that's like, oh, spiritual, whatever. Like, no, like, is someone more upbeat and whatnot, but not like bubbly? That's not what I'm talking about. Like upbeat, or are they someone that does not, and they seem, even in an interview, like, I'm all about business and let's cut to the and it's just like, oh, okay, I understand that you're going to be a stereotypical accountant. Got it. A stereotypical accountant is very introverted, doesn't like talking to people, doesn't like talking to clients, wants to be in their own little cave there and just do their work and thank you very much, bye. And the stereotypical accountant is also an alcoholic. And probably they go hand in hand. You would think someone who's very introverted and doesn't have any want and has very high social anxiety, if you will, probably does some things to cope in their being alone with alcohol. And it's just probably one of the reasons that the stereotype for decades and decades and decades was that accountants were alcoholics. Over a decade ago, when I first started working and whatnot, around the office, they used to make jokes about stereotypical accountants being alcoholics and all that stuff. It's very interesting. But yeah, there's probably a reason for it. So anyway, you're looking for like an upbeat personality, someone that, would bring positive energy, like how to describe it? Like a go-getter attitude, if that makes sense. And again, it's all about meshing with the team. So the reason that those are the two criteria I think the attitude part is probably pretty self-explanatory. Like, they're encouraging. They're not going to be a toxic element to the environment and whatnot. People are going to enjoy like socializing with them. They build camaraderie. And taxes, believe it or not, very often, are a team sport. We'll call it, right? And the intelligence part is really just book smarts aside, are you going to be able to grow and develop? Because on day one, when I hire anyone, I tell them straight up, you are on partner track, period. You are already on a partner track. What that path looks like is to be determined. And who's it going to be determined by? It's going to be determined by them. All right. I'm not one of those people that, oh no, I'm the only partner who's ever going to be on the tax side, and like that's it. Like, I never want another partner. It's like, no, that just seems insane. Why would I want to do that, and why would anyone want to work for me? No, they're on partner track from day one, so they have to be able to have these skills to be able to develop and grow and increase their expertise and knowledge, communication skills. It's incredibly, incredibly important, and be able to not have that social anxiety stop them from being able to, build that camaraderie and whatnot. Because if you can't build camaraderie with people that are peers, you'll never be able to lead them. And in order to be a partner, first and foremost, you need to be a leader, because you're not the one who's doing all the work. No, you have a bazillion other responsibilities that as an employee you don't even realize. Like, I used to ask myself the question during, at other firms, like, I see this partner's queue. It's got like 95 freaking returns to review in there, and some of them are just weeks and weeks and weeks old. Like, what the hell? What are they doing? When I became, partner in my own firm, and I saw how much work there is outside of just doing taxes, I was like, oh, that's what they were doing. Got it. Okay, I was an idiot. All right, cool. And I'm sure in some regards, I still am an idiot. And you have to have these qualities to, going back to it, you have to have the qualities in order to actually grow, advance, and eventually lead in accounting, in not just a rote way of, yes, anyone can, technically be the boss, but you can't foster the kind of environment and perpetuate the sort of moral compass and values that we've created as a firm without these qualities, without being able to lead, without people being able to look up at you, not put you on a pedestal, but look up to you and like, oh wow, I want to be that someday. And those are all qualities that are really important that I look at when I'm hiring someone.
So when you look at those qualities and you have to identify those qualities in just like an interview or 2 or 3 interviews, what kind of questions you normally ask candidates to help you identify those qualities?
So I turn interviews into more of a conversation. And, so I just ask them, okay, tell me about yourself. Just leave it real open and just see where they go with it and see what they say about things. And then I'll follow up on the things that they say and go through things that they said in order to see how they respond to those questions and whatnot as well, to see how their train of thought goes, if they're excited about things or not, or, hey, what hobbies do you have? Oh, tell me about that. Like, I want to know more about the person than like, oh, what was it like working as a senior tax staff over at Johnson and Company, CPAs, and, for those 2 years, 5 years ago. I don't know why interviewers really just focus completely on the resume, because anyone can put anything the hell that they want on the resume and make up whatever BS, and you never actually know the hell of the person that you're actually hiring. Anyone can. Why not? You can. I did one interview about 6 months ago, right, where I was interviewing this one girl for position as a senior accountant here and whatnot. And she could not talk. It was the weirdest experience of my entire life. I was sitting there like mouth open. It was a video, interview and all that. And I was just like the entire time, like and when I say couldn't talk, it's not like, oh, she had a stutter or something like that. Like, no, like in asking very basic questions, she would have like breakdowns and not be able to answer them. Like really simple things like, tell me about yourself, tell me about your experience, what are the things that you like most about accounting or your position or whatnot, or whatever happens to be. And at one point I asked her, because we have a big focus on strategy and I saw that as part of her resume, and I actually asked her, I was like, hey, it says here that like you came up with tax strategies that provided what did it say, to achieve like fantastic results. I'm super paraphrasing, for clients. And like I was just like, wow, like that's fantastic. That's a lot of what we do here is tax strategy. That's like our main focus. So like, hey, can you give me an example of like one of those times, like figuring like, oh, well, she's gonna be very excited to give me an answer, right? Like this seems like a really easy tee up when it was one of the first things on her resume, as like, and I was like, so, can you give me an example of a time that you did that? And like the result, like I'd love to hear it. Like this is what we do, strategy. She literally started crying.
What?
And then started asking me, should I take that off my resume? And I was just like, like, what? Where am I? What? Like, I was so shell-shocked by the response of someone literally crying because I asked them directly a question just for an example of something that they seemed excited about on their resume and that they put there near the top to like draw attention to it. I just asked for something that I thought was like a softball kind of question, like that really anyone could answer. Start crying, like crying. And so we moved on from that. And then I explained how, like, here, like, we encourage our employees, to join like networking groups and have as much client contact as they can, because one of the things that I saw as being completely deficient in every other firm ever is that on no level in any way, shape, or form is there actually coaching in terms of client acquisition, talking to people, networking, growing your professional network and whatnot. There's none of it anywhere. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous on any level. Even when it's an expectation of the job position as a tax manager to acquire clients, there's not 1 second is devoted to training for that. And I was like, nope, that stops. Day one, that starts here, where you are encouraged to join networking groups and practice, talking to clients. And we've done like role playing in here, people that had a lot of anxiety in talking. Like, well, what if I say whatever? And it's like, no, it's never going to be as bad as what you think. There are ways to do it. Like, let's practice to get you comfortable with it, and to go out there and even acquire clients in their networking groups and everything else. We encourage that. By incentivizing them for they get 20% of all billings from that client. Like, cool. And so they're on day one, they're on partner track, right? And the idea is that they will, as they increase their expertise and knowledge and everything else, and they are going up the ladder here, they are building their own, in essence, business too, where they are managing these clients. And at some critical mass, guess what they've done? They basically promoted themselves and created the infrastructure to maintain an employee under them. And so instead of just the person at the very, very, very top of the business bringing in all the clients and everything else, and that's all they're doing, and then assigning them out and whatever else, and then never training anyone ever in order how to do this. And therefore, like, how do you really promote someone above a position that they're in if you can't support another person under them? Like, the answer is you can't, right? That's why jobs stagnate and people kind of sit. Like, I've known staff accountants or senior accountants that have been senior accountants for 30 years in the same firm. And I'm like, no, we will not have that here. Everyone's a partner track. You can rise as fast as you want. I've got one employee that's already brought on 37 clients this year.
What?
He has brought on 37 clients this year.
What is his position?
He is my supervising senior tax specialist, and he's phenomenal, wonderful. I love the guy. Like, he's my right hand.
Wow, that's impressive.
It is impressive. Last year he brought on 21 in total for the year. The year before that was a lot lower. That's the thing. Why start when you're a manager or partner and learning how to acquire clients? Why not start day one? That way you're prepared. Because the thing is, you could be the best CPA in the world, but if you can't talk to clients and you can't acquire clients, then you don't have a business.
That's true.
Period. Like, you can't. It's sitting around there having memorized the dictionary and not having anyone to talk to. Right? It's the same thing. But anyway, so I mentioned that to call my full circle with it to this young lady in this interview. I was like, yeah, and everyone's on partner track. I explained exactly how it works and like how we encourage it and all that other stuff and all the support that we give and everything, coaching and blah 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 blah. And I don't use this word often because it sounds like derogatory, but there's no really other word to say it. And I wish I could kind of make a similar voice. But she started whining, which is a weird thing to say because it sounds derogatory, but that's what it was. It was actually whining. And she was whining, but I don't want to be a partner. And I wish I could say it with the same inflection and whatnot to express how this is not like a sexist comment. But if you're in an interview and someone's saying you're on partner tracks, from day one and explaining how like, hey, freaking amazing it is and all that stuff and all the extra money that you have to make and all this cool stuff and extra training and like you're given everything in the world and all this other stuff and like you are able to work your way up at your own pace and everything else, like, and then your response is to complain and whine, but I don't want to be a partner. I don't want to be a partner. I just want to sit in my room and just be given my work and just to do my work. And I'm just like,
I have no comment.
Yeah, no, it's a really weird thing to say. And again, I don't mean to sound sexist. It's not a sexist thing whatsoever. Saying the word whining. Could have been a man, could have been a woman. I don't care. Literally, could not care about anything less. But holy cow, it was like my 4-year-old son whining about a toy or something. Whining, but I don't want to take a bath. Was what it was.
Wow. So that is probably pretty extremely bad experience. We don't see that very often because I don't think I had that experience in my past when I interview people.
Yeah,
for
that
the
was
position.
The worst interview.
Yeah,
Worst interview I have ever seen in my entire life.
Oh my God,
that's the kind of person that we do not hire. I don't care how good she is at her job. I don't care what technical skills she has. But there's absolutely no way that you'd be appropriate here. This is not a good fit, regardless of the situation. You could have a book of business coming in with you of $500,000. I don't care. You're not going to work here.
Exactly. So how about good experience? Good questions when you have very competitive candidates that you have to identify which one to choose. Which questions you're going to deliver or ask them, besides of just like give me an example of a specific experience you have in the past.
So what I do is I set up questions, perhaps they're all different or whatnot, but basically they gauge how hungry they are, how much they want it, how much they value being able to manifest destiny for themselves, to create their own fate, how excited or unenthused they are about being able to mold their own fate within a company. And when I see that there's great enthusiasm for that, or like a wow, like that's amazing sort of a thing, versus a okay, like that's great. I'm on board. I'm on track. Like even though that's still positive, that's not what I'm looking for in terms of like how important is this piece to you? Because if it's not as important as the piece is to me, then we don't have the same values. We're not as hungry. And it's not about like, oh, sales. It's not about, oh, whatever else. But it's about you're looking long term and what you want in your life. And if all you want is to be given your work, clock in and clock out, that's not the kind of person I want here. I want someone who is going to want to grow, advance, create their own book of business, even not that they aren't given some already and whatnot, and manage clients. That they want to expand their professional networks, and that's something that I want to touch on just for a second to give some advice to anyone still listening, because I know I talk a lot. The most valuable thing that you can do in this industry is grow and nurture your professional networks. I mean, all the client contacts, all of the professionals, like in networking groups, for example, but then expanded on that, past that you can know the most people you can and talk to people, like grow those connections and whatnot. And at a certain point, you'll understand how truly valuable it is. I mean, it is valuable when you need someone, regardless of what it is. You know someone who can do that. Give you an example. It's the week before the October tax deadline. There, 9:30 on a Friday night. All right, me, my wife, and my kids were in the living room. Well, not at 9:30. It was about 6:30 when we started noticing it, but 9:30 is when it actually really happened. But they went up to bed, and we were like, "What is this water that's pooling in our living room, coming from the wall?" Okay, that was weird. So I was like, "Oh, maybe there's some sort of condensation that got in. Like the hurricane blew through." I was like, "Okay, maybe there's something there." So I got some, paper towels, whatever else. And it was just coming. And I was just like, "What is going on here?" Eventually, 9:30 on that Friday night, we noticed that in the little closet that we have, a little storage area under our stairs on our main floor, the water pressure valve in our house was erupting. Just water spraying everywhere. That was cool
Wow.
at 9:30 on a Friday night. So we called the place that maintains whatever that we have, like some sort of service to service HVAC and whatever things, whatever. They're like, "Oh, we can have someone out tomorrow morning." I was like, not soon enough. Water's blasting out. Like, what? I'm gonna just hang out here with towels till then, hopefully. Like, not gonna work. And I didn't have a big enough wrench to be able to actually turn it off. Call the client. And he's like, "Got it. I'm gonna have someone to you, in a minute." Okay,
A minute?
great. 20 minutes after that call, a guy who I'd never seen before, never talked to before, showed up at my door in a suit, because he had come directly from a church evening service. He was at my house within 20 minutes of making the call to this other client. And he came in his suit, got the water off, tightened the valve and whatnot, and cut holes in the drywall and whatnot, and brought over fans and all this, like. And I was just like, what if I had never made this connection? What if I had never, like, what was I supposed to do? The amount of damage that was going to be done to the house was going to be extreme.
That's
impressive. Just like, it's like one little example. I had an employee that her back went like out. She was just sitting here just like moaning and groaning and whatnot. And I was just like, what's going on? She's like, I did something to my back. It's so painful. I don't know what the heck to do here. And it was a Saturday. She's like, I got to tough it out or whatever like that. I was like, have you made an appointment with like a chiropractor or something like that? She's like, no, they probably can't see me till Monday. I'm like, no problem. I've got a client. Hold on. texted my client, responded immediately. He's like, "Oh yeah, no, I'll get her in today, not a problem. Yeah, tell her to just go in or call the office, whatever, and make that initial consultation where they take X-rays and all that other stuff, whatever, a longer thing." And she calls, and the office manager there was like, "Oh yeah, for new patients, probably can't see you until about Monday." I text my client that real quick. He's like, "No, she'll be seen today. What's her name?" I was like, "Here it is." She's like, "Got it. I'm gonna have my office manager call you, right now, and she can start driving here." I was like, "Okay, sounds great. Appreciate it." Like leveraging your professional network in any circumstance, like you can in any circumstance. All you have to do is do right by people, actually care about them, nurture the relationships, which takes a little bit of effort, but not nearly as much as people might think. And just like always do what's in their best interest. And that's how we handle our clients in general. And because we treat our clients with care, regardless of who they are, their situation, or whatever else, or I mean, let's be honest, not all clients are like, roses and, puppy dogs, whatever. Some are real pains in the butt. But regardless, you treat them, very well, very caring, not like numbers. Client number 762, like, no, don't do that. Provide them really good value, and they come through when you need it. So develop your professional networks. Like, I can go on a laundry list of things that I've used and leveraged my network for. Like, so start building it early. Really build it early.
That's amazing. I know. I always recommend people to go to networking events and then make connections. It's always amazed me how crazy your network can support you. Just some of your examples, that's pretty impressive. But based on my own example, like when I need to find another job, I just reach out to someone I know. Oh my God. It's just so quick, so fast. And I was like, 3 days later, I got the job offer.
Yeah, it really is like that. And one of the other advantages, and this is interesting too, that like when you're really in business for yourself, or working your way up in a firm, you've got a good position, whatnot. Learning one client's needs and then connecting them with another client, or one person in your network and connecting them with another person in your network, and that, like, oh, you can work together. You need this, they have this. That's their business. This is your business. Hey, combine them, work together, joint venture, something like that. And like, one, it's incredibly profitable to do that, and two, it creates this giant win-win and an extreme amount of goodwill. Like, they love you. Like, this guy, my CPA connected me with John here. John just saved my ass. Like, we needed this thing so badly, and we were told we couldn't get it, or it cost like a bazillion or whatever. And John was able to do it to, the next day, and for whatever it was, like, holy cow. And now, we're working together, and we're, it's like,
yep. It's like an advanced level of networking. You like expand your networking to connect someone to someone else. So that's amazing. That's one of very, very important tips or skills that we always advise students, college students who are going to graduate, or who are like recent graduate students that they are going to join these professions. Please, please, please go out there and network with people.
And network besides people in your industry. Don't just network with other CPAs. We're pretty boring most of the time. I'll say that. Right?
Most of the time, not all the time. Talking about that boring. Look at the icon behind your back. Look at that the whole interview. Can you give me some background why you have that face in your back? Look at the back.
Yeah. The dude here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, no, so yeah, we're not all I guess zombies and whatnot. No, we'd like to have a lot of fun and whatnot. So that actually is a little interesting thing. That used to be my parents. They got that in Jamaica on their honeymoon 40 if they're watching this, don't kill me. 45 years ago?
45?
45 years ago on their honeymoon in Jamaica. They were staying at one of those, resorts or whatever else with like beads or whatever else, right? And they were walking on the beach, and they saw this guy who was doing some like carving, whatever, over there by himself and all that. And they started talking to him. Like, they're social people, my parents, and they were talking to him like, "Oh, that's like really cool. We'd love that sort of thing." And he's like, talking back, and they're like, "Yeah, we're here in our, he asked them, what they're doing here and whatnot, and they're enjoying it, blah, blah, blah. And, oh, yeah, we're here on our honeymoon and all that stuff." He's like, "Oh, you know what? You want something to commemorate your honeymoon? You want me to carve something for you? You could just take home." And they were like, "Sure, but like all we have are these beads. Like, how do we pay you?" He was like, "Just grab me 2 beers from the from the resort bar real quick. I'll get to work." And they were like, "Okay, that seems fine." Go get him some beers. And then, to quote my dad, this guy proceeded to start carving and also light up the largest blunt he had ever seen in his whole life. So this guy was just imagine he's just smoking this giant marijuana, wrap marijuana thing, giant thing, while carving this incredibly detailed, really cool looking thing out of a piece of driftwood. It's not like he had like blocks of wood. He just like walked on the beach like, "Oh yeah, this will work." He grabbed a piece of wood and just started carving it.
That's impressive. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
And so it wound up in my house, and I've just always kind of liked it. I really like it. And at one point my parents were moving and all that stuff, and this thing, it looks like, oh, it's fine, but it's solid wood. Like it weighs like 45, 50 pounds. Like it's really heavy. They're like, I just don't think this is going to make it in the move and whatnot. Like, it's been nice, but, I don't think there's going to be a place for it. I was like, "Can I have it?" They're like, "Oh, okay, sure." So I'm like, all right. So that's the story of the man back there.
That's a good story. See, it's not boring. So just want to prove that not all accountants are boring.
Yes, my hobbies include math and watching paint dry.
That's kind of boring.
No,
okay.
That'd be boring. No,
Yeah.
I enjoy being social with my clients. I get to know them. I enjoy fishing and swimming.
Okay, that's fun.
Also fossil hunting and nature and plenty of other things out there that are I would say not boring.
Yeah. I want to show people that we are not that boring. We are some kind of boring at some level, but not that extreme boring. But
yes, this is not Office Space for you younger generation. Look up that movie and watch it. And if you haven't watched it, watch it. If you've seen clips, go watch the actual movie. It's not like that here.
That's funny. We go over a lot of good and creative stories, I would say that way, in our profession. From your viewpoint, I think it's really eye-open experience or discussion through this interview. Before we close this interview, I would love to see if you have any final tips or advice to young generation in this profession.
I would say, while this profession isn't for everyone, no profession is. And it's all about finding things in the profession that you enjoy. It's not necessarily, oh, I've got to love everything about my job or else I don't want it. It's, my job's hard a lot of the time. And there are a good amount of the time, though, that's really enjoyable. I absolutely love that. I get a rush out of things. And no matter what you do, just find those things that you really enjoy about it. Don't worry too much about the rest. Like, do your work, get it done, but, keep your eyes open the whole time. We learn more from failures than we do successes. And as you grow, you're going to fail a lot. It's just the nature of the thing. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. But this is a great industry to see that progress, that personal progress in action. Like when you start doing, tax returns, for example, you'll get a zillion review points. you look at it and be like, oh my God, I've got 8 pages of review notes. Like, whoa. But over time, over the months and whatnot, that'll start shrinking. And then you'll have a page. And then you'll have a couple. And then probably within your first 2 years or so, you'll get none. And you'll have given your first perfect return. You know, and that's an achievement in and of itself. But don't stop there. Keep learning. You know, what I did was not the normal journey that a CPA does. But you can do it any way you want. That's the thing. There's no, this is the path. You have to do it this way. Keep your eyes open, learn, and find some things that you enjoy in no matter what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Those advice are very invaluable because yes, you need to find joy in what you learn or what you do because you work pretty much every day and then you only have like 2 days on the weekends to do something fun. So if you are so miserable at work, it sounds very difficult to go to work every day.
Remember the life-work balance.
Yes,
everybody.
life-work balance. We talk a lot, but let's just go the statement. It is life-work balance, not work-life balance. That's something I want to emphasize.
Don't work yourselves to death. Work yourselves to life.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Matt, for the interview today. I wish we could talk more. Maybe we can schedule another interview because I still have a lot of questions. Remember, we have layers that I said I want to ask. I still have 2 more layers I want to ask. So maybe we can schedule another interview if your time allows. So I can ask more questions.
I'd be very happy to. I'd be very happy to. It was a real pleasure talking to you, Rosie. And thanks for putting up with me for a couple hours here.
Oh, it's fun. I love it. I love talking to people. And you, as I mentioned at the very beginning, you and I, we can hang out together. We like nature. We like social. That's all we need, right?
That's it.
Maybe you can just interview in your new office once it's finished being built. And so just interview in the back. Like you said, you can have a nice, relaxed space. So
absolutely. I'd be happy to. That'd be fun.
Yep. Let me know when the building is finished. So I can schedule my flight.
Yeah, you'll have to come down from Maryland. It's warmer down here, believe me.
Oh yeah. That I would love to. It's getting freezing here in Massachusetts. Yeah.
I'm familiar. I remember. Grew up in Jersey.
Ooh. But thank you so much again for the interview. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.